On this 50-point inspection, I have BJORN SINNER from Branch and Blade Brewing Company. They're out of Keene, New Hampshire. BJORN SINNER is a 7% ABV IPA, as far as I know. It's a foeder fermented kveik IPA. However you pronounce that yeast strain, it's up to you, or people that actually speak that Nordic language there. So this is, like I said, 7% ABV. A little right up on the back here says we've got wood, oak foeders. That is, we swelled our conical foeder for a couple weeks, then used that oak aged water for this brew. We followed our tried and true BJORN SINNER recipe, then fermented inside the foeder with a Norwegian kveik from our good friend Justin at Mainiacal yeast in Maine. The end result is a juicy batch of BJORN SINNER with a solid oak and vanilla presence from the oak fermentation and aged water. So let me go ahead and show you the can art on this one. It is fantastic. Branch and Blade usually having some great can art. This is, and I think pretty much everything that they have is done by Kristen Gerard. You can find her at Instagram. I guess you'd say at Instagram at Kristen Carroll. The last name changed, so maybe there was a marriage there or something. I don't know. But yeah, great can art once again there. The Norwegian flag dead center of that snake that eats itself. Mart, you know what I'm talking about anyways. You can refresh me again on what that whole thing means. I think it means like eternity or something like that. Anyways, let's go ahead and crack into this one. No canned on date on this. A little bit of a dirty top to this can. Make sure none of that gets into my glass. Alright. Very tight, white bubbled, frothy head. Color of the beer itself. It is a hazy to murky, deep orange color. It almost looks like, on my end anyway, with some light coming through it. Just the way this glass is shaped, down here it's a bit lighter, up here it's a bit darker, so it kind of looks like a tequila sunrise a little bit. But yeah, anyways, let's get some aromas. Say big grapefruit notes, clementine, tangerine-esque. There's a bit of a kind of a spice on the tail end, maybe a little bit earthy, maybe a little bit woody as well. Woody, earthy, spicy. Now, is that coming from the foeder? I don't know. Could be just from the yeast itself. I think that kveik yeast typically ferments fairly clean, but can give off some fruit notes. Alright, let's go ahead and dive in. Cheers. Yeah, there is a hint of vanilla note right up front. So the vanilla is kind of carrying throughout. Quite fruity, pretty much just like the aromas. It's quite citrus forward, a bit of that kind of grapefruit-like flavor up front as well. A little bit of that kind of clementine or tangerine-esque. I think this one's a little bit more citrusy than tangerine is, so we'll go with clementine. Yeah, there's a bit of that kind of woody, earthy tone coming up on the finish with this one. This isn't my first time having this beer, but this is my first time having this beer when I wasn't already quite buzzed off of a bunch of other beers. I never noticed that vanilla note or even the kind of wood note before. My palate was wrecked. So interesting that on a fresh palate, I'm actually able to pick up on those flavors. Body is about medium carbonation. Bitterness on this one, say it's just under like that moderate bitterness. So a scale of short end to large end. It's, if this is the middle, there we go, then it's kind of like right here. So it's just a little bit less than a moderate bitterness. Yeah, not harsh at all either. Mouthfeel on it, it's got a slight smoothness to it. It's not like super creamy, fluffy, but in the malt presence, I'd say maybe a light cracker flavor, maybe a slight hint of like a wheat profile as well. But yeah, the malt in this definitely is not, it's not shining through with big bolsterous flavors. This one's not a very sweet beer either. It's just fairly well balanced throughout, so the bitterness doesn't hit too high on it. So, all right, let's give this a score now. Okay, I don't know. The appearance on this one, it is kind of an uglier color for an IPA, I think, but it's all right. It's leaving some good lacing. Had a nice head on it, and yeah, it's a hazy. So I'll give it a 6 out of 6 for the appearance. On the aromatics, a little bit different there, like I said, with the foeder notes actually kind of coming through, and I don't know, I guess that's the other, right? That and just the different yeast, everything. It's pretty good, So I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 for the aromatics. For the flavors, same thing. I mean, I do wish, that's the one thing that was kind of missing both in the aromatics and mostly in the flavor too, is any real malt profile to this one. So I would like a little bit of a bigger malt profile to it, but and then it is just a little bit strange getting a lot of that kind of wood. This isn't really like a wood that's coming out of a hop type flavor, so it's, you know, that they said that they used the water from the foeder, and yeah, it's just kind of it is kind of a little bit of a strange woodiness to have in a beer like this. And then kind of does go with the citrus notes that are coming through as well, and that vanilla is interesting also. But with everything going on with the flavors and where it kind of lands for me, I'm at a 15 out of 19. The body, thought the body was fine, nice medium body, carbonation to match. It's 5 out of 5 for the body. For my overall on this one, like I said, it's like, yeah, it's all right, but there are some kind of, it's nice that I'm getting that wood note, but it's also a little bit strange to me. I prefer a beer that doesn't, unless it's like some big barrel-aged stout or porter or something like that. Most of the time, this flavors really don't jive too much with IPAs and stuff for me. I'm at a 7 out of 10. Which is gonna leave the BJORN Sinner from Branch and Blade with a BuMpY 42 out of 50, which will land this as a very good beer. So I just want to say cheers. Thank you all for watching.